Today I'm going to explain the software BoardARS. BoardARS is developed to help on board meetings and to vote on motions with weighted voting, whether it's secret or not, and a few other options. After installation, you find the BoardARS shortcut on your desktop. If you launch it, BoardARS will ask you for the protocol. I'm going to create a new protocol, call it demo protocol. When you already have a protocol, it will ask you whether or not you want to continue the protocol or whether you want to create a new one. So that's the default template. It's pretty empty at the moment. And we're going to start not with the options, we will start with the audience. If you open up the audience, you will see an empty list, and you can create a new list which will open up the template, where you can put in the keypad number, which is on the back of the keypad, the name, the weighting with decimals, and whether or not they are present by default. I have already created one of these lists with 13 keypads and gave them some weighting. This list I'm going to import now. This is a CSV file, and you see I have a few set to present, which I will set to not present now, because I want to vote on the presents first. When I save this list, they will appear here, and the names are quite small at the moment. The next thing we are going to do is to go into the options. Since we only have 13 names, we can have 5 names per row, and let's say 20 names per page in total, which makes them a bit bigger. Well, a bit more spread. And now I can prepare a bigger name. Let's say we take 34, because we have quite small names, and we make them bold. So now, or maybe reduce the size a bit so they're not just are that dominating. Then we can change the font size for the topic number, for the title. Let's call that 36. The results we can always have very big, because they're gonna be automatically being matched. We can set up a background title, foreground title for the topic, and we can set a border, which I'm going to do now. If you work on multiple PCs, you can export the project to a BoardARS file, or you can import it from a BoardARS file, and this means you can move that file around and work on multiple places with it. On the protocol tab, we have our text file where we want to save the protocol. We can also save a CSV file for each result, and we can do optionally also screenshots. The screenshot I have checked here. On the hardware we have here on the top, vote revisable or not, which means the participants can change their mind if that's checked until the vote is stopped, and we'll see what they have changed to. If you don't have that option checked, I suggest to force the send key, which means they have to submit their vote by send, but they cannot re-vote. Yeah, you can also have both checked if you want to. I'm going to leave it this way, which is easier to explain. Here comes your license key, and this will be filled out automatically. Then you can just close the options, and we go for the topics. Now the topics you can also import. There's a template for it, where you can just put in some text. Let's say here, presence check. Here we have motion 1, and that is approval board. motion 2. Let's say that is approval of finance plan. You can have enter in it. So if you let's call that 2022, and an enter in Excel you make by Alt Enter, but you can also copy it from other files. I'm going to save that file in my BoardARS folder and call that test import as a CSV file, and I can close it and import it here through the topics, and it will ask me what type of voting that is. We will go through that later. I will set them all as yes and abstain because that's the default voting and it's all not secret. When I save that, they will appear here. Now the first vote, the presence check, is not actually a yes and abstain vote, so I can mark it, go here on edit and say that's a presence check, and I'm going to amend it here. Please submit your presence by pressing the 1/A key on your keypad. Let's say that way. We're going to probably move that one out here so that can also have text here. We call that presence check. So that looks a bit better. So, and then it asks you to overwrite the topic because it still has the same ID on the top. Yep. Overwrite. Good. Approval of board. Finance plan. Good. Let's say we have that. Let's now here is presence check. Now there is sometimes the need to put some motions in between, and you see the ID here on the front. Let's say behind that must be another topic that just comes on the plate while the meeting is running, so you can call that 2.1. It's still motion 1, but it's amended, for example, or addition. So that's let's call that new CFO. So the current CFO, let's call him Klaus Schmidt. Schmidt has retired. Hans Kunibert is the only candidate for it. Do you want to promote Hans Kunibert to the new CFO? And as I said here, you can use enters and tabs. Now let's start with that. Move that a bit in. So, and that's yes and abstain, and call that one as secret voting. And you see it's going to be in the right position, so it's going to move here. No. What else do we have? We have as voting options. I'm just going through it. Yes, no votes. So if you don't have an abstain, yes, no abstain is clear. Then you have 2, 3, 4, or 5 options, or a presence check, or if you just want to display the heading, you have no voting option. Let's go for 3 options, for example, and see the difference to yes and abstain. So that's topic number. Motion 3. Even so, it's ID number 4, but it's motion number 3. Decision on new company cars. Please select your favorite new company car manufacturer. So, as I said, you can all do this by going into the import. Let's say we have GM here, General Motors. We do Mercedes here and Chevrolet on here, and say that's safe. So we have four votings, which is 3 motions. One of them is secret, and we will go through them one by one. Yep, then you can close that. You can delete topics, so delete one topic, delete all topics. They are all saved as soon as you press close. Then we have the option to minimize and close. So I'm going to start with the presence check. So now the audience must press the 1 key on their keyboard and they will turn green, as you see. So you know they are present. So for good one. So here we have please vote now. That's going to light up and down. So that looks okay. Then you will see here the present audience and the received votes, which is the weighted voting. So now you can go either with the keyboard with Alt N to the next, Alt B to the one before, or you can select them here if you want to jump. So now the first motion is approval of board. Yes, no, abstain voting. We press start vote, and we can vote on our keypads. So let's say that in general the board did a good job, so we approve them. We have 2 no's, 1 abstain, and this is what we also will get on our output here. We have 7 yes, 2 no, and 1 abstain, including the shares and here by hand voting. So let's say we now have this motion which we want to vote on, which was the secret voting. And let's say they don't really like him, so they're gonna go this way. And you see the difference when you have a secret voting. The audience will see that their vote has been received, so they have a confirmation. They also have it on the keyboard with the OK key, so there's an OK displayed in the screen. And when you stop the vote, you just see the overall result. So now he didn't had 51% or 50 plus 1%, so he's not approved. Now it's going into discussions. Let's say we open the speakers list, and in the speakers list you will see here when you start this, somebody can just press the 1 key on his keyboard when this is open. So you open it by pressing F5 on your main screen. So let's say these want to say something, and you can then select one and say, okay, please start your speech. And then you see it here on screen. The countdown goes. You can change that time if you want to. Just go in, type in the new time, press enter. That's fine. So let's say, okay, he's starting a speech, and the questions or the things others want to say are done. So except this one, they can just press the 5 key and remove themselves from the list. Only John Smith can't do that because he's still speaking at the moment. Once you stop the vote, it says here you have a log file. Speech has ended. John Smith has stopped. And when he's stopped, then he can either remove himself by pressing the 5 key, or you can remove him manually by pressing remove. You can save the log file. So if you close that window, it's going to ask you if you want to save the speakers list file, which is that log file here. You can press yes, it's speakers logged, and say here motion 1, and press save. Now that file is being saved, and let's say you want to re-vote on it because there's much clearance. When you start voting again, it will ask you, do you want to vote again? Yes. And now most people say John Smith made a good speech, but he was for him, or he is for him now. and some are always resisting, so we're going to have it like that. 4,800. Okay, so it's 50 plus 1. So now he's approved and is a new CFO. Now, motion 2, approval of finance plan 2022. And we can just go for it. We just want to vote on it. Okay. So that's the finance plan being approved. And here is the difference on the 3 options for the new company car. In this case, they can select one of the 3, and you see there's also different text here. So let's say they want to go for, they all want GMs, except 1 probably, or 2. Well, let's see how they do. They want Mercedes. Move that to keep it around, that's why. Okay, so 2 want Mercedes, nobody wants Chevrolet, and the rest wants a GM, so that's approved. So that's basically BoardARS. Here on the top you can change the log file. So the logo, make it your logo. I'm gonna take any background, let's say I take that. You just double click it, done. So that's all the stuff we have now. Now when we close this and look at our BoardARS, we're gonna see here a lot of screenshots. Yeah, and we see here the log file for the Speakerslist. We can open that. So that's exactly the same order. Yeah, so time is scanning sorted. You have the list here. Here's our protocol. So we put in the people and set them all to not present. Press save. So now they are not present. If you need to change a presence because somebody's leaving or they're coming later, you can go at any time into the audience button, check the person or uncheck it, press save, and you will get that complete list who's present, who's not. Yeah, then we did our first presence check. We have present here, and these 3 are not present. Then we have selected approval of board. We get the overall result here. It was not a secret voting. And here we get the weighting and what they have voted. Then we got the yes and abstain one with the secret voting. And all we get here is no individual results. We just get the overall result. And then we voted on that again. And now we got a different result because now they approved him. Then we have the approval of finance plan and so on, where whenever it's not secret, they got to be locked here. If it's secret, you only get the overall result, and the same for the company car. In addition to that, you get here a screenshot. Finance plan motion 2. Here we have voted twice, so we get 2 of those. Yeah, and that's motion number 1. That's the presence check. This was my testing before, so that's fine. And that is basically BoardARS. I hope that was pretty clear how it works, and I hope you have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching the video, and goodbye.